11 top scientists have mysteriously disappeared or died, and the FBI has officially stepped in. Trump said this is quite serious. Recently, at the White House, Trump told reporters, "I just came out of a meeting about this matter." It's a very serious issue. I hope it's just a coincidence, but some of these people are extremely important figures. Then the White House confirmed it. The FBI, the Department of Energy, the National Nuclear Security Administration, and all relevant agencies have officially gotten involved, launching a comprehensive review of a series of cases to look for any possible connections. Congressman Burleson from the House Oversight Committee said he's been keeping an eye on this matter for over a year. The pattern of these cases is just too coincidental to ignore. When the President of the United States calls it very serious at a White House press conference, and when the FBI and federal agencies officially get involved, this is no longer just an online conspiracy theory. In 3 years, 11 top scientists with access to America's most sensitive secrets, nuclear weapons. Those involved in space, UFOs, anti-gravity, and nuclear fusion have either mysteriously disappeared or died under unexplained circumstances. Today, we're going to get to the bottom of this. Welcome to Fangwei's Perspective. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified when we break down the most important news of our time every day. Let's start with the two key figures who connect all these cases. The first is General William Neal McCasland, a retired U.S. Air Force Major General who once served as the commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory. This lab is located at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and oversees the military's most cutting-edge and highly classified research projects. He was the chief engineer of the GPS system, led the space-based laser project, and also served as the director of special projects at the Pentagon. A retirement evaluation stated that he played a key role in developing several unique capabilities. These capabilities are now in use and will continue to be relied upon to address emerging threats in the future. In 2016, WikiLeaks released emails from John Podesta, the former White House chief of staff. In these emails, Tom DeLonge, the lead singer of the famous rock band Blink-182 and also a UFO researcher, wrote to Podesta and mentioned McCasland. DeLonge said that when the Roswell incident happened, they transported the materials to the laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And General McCasland was the person in charge of that laboratory. He added, "I've been working with him for 4 months. He knows the situation extremely well because he's the one in charge of those things." It was the same General McCasland who disappeared from his home in Albuquerque on February 27, 2026, not long after Trump ordered the Pentagon to release UFO-related files. His wife, Susan, had only been gone for less than 2 hours. When she came back, her husband was gone. His phone was left at home, his prescription glasses were left at home, and his wearable devices were left at home. The only things missing were his hiking boots, his wallet, a .38 caliber handgun, and a red backpack. 8 days after he went missing, a gray Air Force sweatshirt was found 1 1/4 miles from their home, but it hasn't been confirmed whether it belonged to him. The search and rescue team used helicopters, radar, and search dogs and visited 700 households, but so far there is still no definite lead on his whereabouts. Here, I have to add an important piece of information. General McCasland has an undisclosed medical condition, which is one of the reasons the police issued a silver alert. His wife, Susan, later posted on social media saying that it seemed unlikely her husband disappeared to retrieve her outdated classified information, pointing out that she has been retired for over 12 years. Investigative journalist Kurt Hart said that General McCasland vanishing from the face of the earth is a serious national security crisis for the United States. This man carries America's most sensitive secrets in his mind. As for which of these statements is true, the investigation is still ongoing. The second person is Amy Eskridge, a female scientist who is only 34 years old. Her father is a retired NASA engineer, and she herself was engaged in experimental propulsion research focused on anti-gravity technology, specifically manipulating or counteracting gravity. In 2018, she and her father gave a talk introducing their gravity modification experiments, and even mentioned the military. It was rumored that a triangular anti-gravity aircraft was being secretly developed. In 2020, she said something unsettling on a podcast. "We discovered anti-gravity, and then our lives turned into a mess. Someone started sabotaging us." He said he was being threatened and described symptoms that seemed like he was attacked by a directed energy weapon. He showed marks on his hand, which he said were burns. A month before he died, he sent a text message saying, "If you see any reports claiming I took my own life, I absolutely did not. If you see any reports saying it was an accident, that's suspicious too. Please treat it that way." On June 11, 2022, he was found dead from a gunshot wound to the head in Huntsville, Alabama. The official ruling was suicide. Former British intelligence officer Milburn claimed he was killed by outside forces and submitted his findings to the U.S. Congress. Journalist Schellenberger testified at a congressional hearing that he was targeted by a private aerospace company. because he was involved in discussions about unidentified aerial phenomena. At the same time, I have to add information from the other side. In an interview, his father said he did not believe there was anything suspicious about his daughter's death, saying that scientists, like ordinary people, also pass away. Congressman Burleson publicly stated that there is significant evidence showing he was attacked with a directed energy weapon. Both explanations are still on the table, and to this day, officials have not released a full investigation report. Now let's talk about the most inexplicable geographic phenomenon in this whole series of cases, New Mexico. This is where the Manhattan Project created the first atomic bomb. To this day, the Los Alamos National Laboratory remains the heart of America's nuclear security. In just a few short months, 4 people connected to sensitive agencies went missing in this area, one after another. The first was a retired employee from Los Alamos who went out for a walk from home in May 2025. His car was locked in the driveway, and his phone, wallet, and keys were all left at home. He just vanished. The second was a current Los Alamos employee with security clearance. The last time he was seen was in June 2025, walking alone by the side of the highway. When his family returned, they found his car, wallet, and keys all at home, but both of his phones, his personal and work phones, had been reset to factory settings. All the data had been completely wiped. His family firmly ruled out the possibility that he left voluntarily because he was getting ready to take care of his mother, who was about to undergo surgery. The third case involves a government contractor at the Kansas City National Security Campus. This campus is responsible for developing most of the non-nuclear components of America's nuclear weapons, and this person had top-secret security clearance. In August 2025, he walked away from home with only a handgun and also disappeared, including General McCaslin. That's 4 people, all in New Mexico. Have you noticed this pattern? 4 people walked away from home without their phones or keys and then vanished into thin air. Albuquerque is in New Mexico. Los Alamos is in New Mexico. Kirtland Air Force Base is also in New Mexico, and General McCaslin had previously worked at Kirtland as well. Same area, same way of leaving. Same result. Is this just a coincidence, or is there some kind of pattern? Now, let's talk about other cases. Here, it's necessary to separate the cases into 2 categories. Some already have relatively clear answers, while others remain true unsolved mysteries. Let's start with the cases that already have relatively clear answers. Nuno Loureiro, director of the MIT Plasma Physics Infusion Center, was shot and killed at his home in the Boston area in December 2025. According to CBS News, the killer has been identified as Claudio Neves Valente, a former classmate who attended the same engineering school as him. The motive was a long-standing personal grudge. On the same day, this individual also carried out a shooting at Brown University, resulting in 2 deaths and 9 injuries. This is a case with a clearly identified perpetrator and is no longer considered unsolved. There are, however, several other noteworthy cases that are still under investigation. Monica Riza, a 60-year-old aerospace engineer at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, has over 37 years of research experience and helped invent the Temporalis superalloy used in next-generation rocket engines. On June 22, 2025, she and 2 companions went hiking in the Los Angeles County National Forest. Just 1 minute before she disappeared, her companions turned around and saw her smiling and waving. 30 seconds later, when they called out to her again, there was no response. The search and rescue operation mobilized helicopters, radar, and search dogs for several months, but aside from her hat, nothing else was ever found. According to reports, the place where he disappeared was very close to the highway. You could see and hear the cars passing by. Carl Grillmeyer, a 67-year-old astrophysicist at Caltech who studied dark matter and habitable planets, was shot and killed right outside his home in February 2026. To this day, there are still no suspects. In addition, several researchers associated with NASA and Los Alamos have died under unclear circumstances at different times, and in some cases, no complete investigation reports have been made public. These 2 types of cases are different in nature and should be treated separately, but together they do add up to a scale that has made federal agencies feel it necessary to step in and investigate. What do you think is the most likely reason behind this series of cases? One possibility is targeted operations by a foreign intelligence agency, stealing or eliminating people who possess top secrets. 2, someone within the United States doesn't want certain secrets to be revealed and is actively carrying out removals. 3, most of these are independent, coincidental incidents, and investigations will eventually uncover the truth. Leave a comment and tell me your thoughts. Now, as for possible explanations behind this series of cases, I'll suggest 3 possibilities. Each one has its own basis, but also its flaws. The first possibility is foreign intelligence infiltration. Former FBI Assistant Director Swecker said, "I don't think this is anything supernatural. If it's not a coincidence, then it's modern espionage. This kind of statement has historical precedent. From 1999 to 2000, Los Alamos was rocked by a major espionage scandal. Scientist Wen-Ho Lee was accused of transferring classified nuclear weapons data to his personal computer. Around the same time, 2 hard drives containing top-secret US-Russia allied weapons design data disappeared from a secure vault. This exposed serious security flaws at Los Alamos, but this time it's different. Last time, what was stolen was data. This time, what disappeared was a living person who possessed the knowledge. If an adversary realizes that taking or eliminating the person directly is more efficient than stealing data, what would they do? Investigative journalist Kurt Hart says, if you're Russia or if you're China, General McCaslin would be one of your top targets. There is a documented record of the Chinese Communist Party stealing cutting-edge American technological intelligence. From the 1,000 Talents Plan to multiple indictments, this is not just idle speculation. The second possibility is that someone knew things they weren't supposed to know. The core logic of this theory is that if the source of certain technologies cannot be made public, or if the exposure of certain capabilities that have already been acquired would cause fundamental upheaval, then anyone who might let this information leak out would be considered dangerous by certain groups. Eskridge repeatedly said before his death that someone wanted to shut him up. He mentioned that he needed NASA's approval to publish his research, implying that the research was deeply connected to the government. General McCaslin's disappearance happened shortly after Trump requested the release of UFO-related files. If he was considered likely to cooperate in making certain information public, he would be a wild card to those who didn't want that information exposed. This possibility can't be ruled out, but at present there is no direct and definitive evidence for this third possibility. Extreme coincidences combined with media influence, this theory says that there are hundreds of thousands of people in the US with high-level security clearances, and just like regular folks, they get sick, have accidents, and go through personal crises. When the public starts connecting these otherwise unrelated incidents into a web, confirmation bias makes every new case seem like it's part of that web. Both McCaslin's wife and Eskridge's father have statements pointing in this direction. The Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office also told the media, at this time, we have not found any evidence linking McCaslin's disappearance to his classified work. All 3 possibilities make sense, and all 3 also raise questions. What we do know for sure is that the case is real, the pattern does exist, and the Trump administration has chosen to address it formally rather than avoid it. Trump said he would provide an answer within a week and a half. This statement deserves to be taken seriously, but we should also keep a clear head. After a week and a half, if the investigation concludes that most of these are just separate, unfortunate incidents with no common link, should we accept that conclusion? If the conclusion is that there really is some kind of pattern, but the details can't be made public for national security reasons, what can we actually take away from that answer? One thing is certain, this issue has reached a scale that warrants formal intervention by the federal government. Federal agencies don't just allocate resources to an investigation for no reason. A member of the House Oversight Committee said he's been following this issue for over a year. He said the pattern of button presses is just too much of a coincidence to ignore. This is something an elected official said in public, and he bears political responsibility for it. Personally, I think the truth might be layered. Some cases may actually have answers, and those answers aren't all that mysterious. Some cases might really point in a certain direction, but what's involved in that direction isn't something that can be fully disclosed after just a few weeks of investigation. Trump is willing to face this issue head-on instead of letting it continue to fester underground. That attitude alone is something worth acknowledging. What do you think will happen if Trump says he'll give an answer within a week and a half? One possibility is a full disclosure of the truth, including answers about the mastermind behind the scenes, but the core secrets would still be kept confidential. Another possibility is that the investigation concludes there's no way to confirm a connection, so the related cases remain unresolved. Which one do you think it will be? Leave a comment and let me know. In the past 3 years, 11 people, top experts in the most cutting-edge fields in America, like nuclear weapons, space, UFOs, anti-gravity, and nuclear fusion, have disappeared from the public eye one by one, or have left in unclear circumstances. Some of these cases already have answers, while some people remain a real mystery. But treating all these cases as the same thing isn't right. It's just as reckless to dismiss the whole thing as a conspiracy theory because the FBI and federal agencies have already gotten involved. In a society where the top scientists start disappearing in this kind of pattern and no one can give a clear answer, that's something to think about. This in itself is an issue that deserves to be taken seriously. Trump chose to address it directly instead of avoiding it, and I think that's the right approach. As for what the answer is, we'll keep waiting and keep following up. I'm Feng Wei, and this is Feng Wei's Perspective. If you found today's episode helpful, share it with more friends. See you next time.